You're listening to NFT 365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365. And of course, big shout out to all of those that are listening day in and day out. Truly appreciate you. I know many of you are jumping over into the Discord over the last many weeks, and just so much fun seeing so many people, jump into the conversation around NFTs. And, as I like to say, we're all learning this together, and we are all, early adopters and on this journey, together. And I think one of the things that I wanted to, kind of point out, over the last many episodes, one of the discussions has been around, the idea of really, where we've been and where we're going, also understanding, some of the nuances in this NFT space. And I just want to put this out there, right? That, if the jargon or if the wordings around like what people are using things like rug pull, AKA a money grab, or someone just, taking what they have and running away with it, right? Pulling the rug out underneath everyone, or things like, the shorthand. Like, don't allow the shorthand or the lack of understanding all of the terms prevent you from asking questions in Twitter Spaces, prevent you from joining Discords, prevent you from moving forward. And I think it can be very easy. I'm starting to get a little bit, like, I noticed that some communities are turning a little bit elitist, and they almost want to use the language to make it separate themselves from like the haves and the have-nots. And here on this podcast, that will not be accepted. I am not okay with that being the case. And so I know for many people that they might have a question that they want to ask, but they're afraid to use the wrong vernacular, right? Like, I want to ask a question, but I don't know if it's minting it or if it's buying it on secondary market. Here's the thing. We are all learning. And the beautiful thing is a majority of these communities, a majority of the Twitter Spaces, a majority of the Discords, they understand the importance of education as a whole. And I think this community is some of the most welcoming, most helpful group of people that I've ever been a part of. And so please don't get discouraged based on those little nuances and some of the things that exist. I think we're all learning a lot of the different terminology, a lot of the different strategies and things, kind of as we go, as we kind of look at that. And that's actually where I want to take the conversation here today, because, I talk a lot about mindset, and I know that, like, it's funny, like, even me, when I'm like putting out an episode and I put mindset in the title, my first concern is it going to come across as like I'm trying to be fluffy, or I'm not giving people exact programmatic advice. But here's the reason that mindset to me is where I always focus, is because guess what? The blocking and the tackling, the day-to-day, the nuances of like, how do you put something for sale? How do you, create an auction? Which platform do you use? OpenSea or Looks Rare or Rareable? Or if you're on Solana, am I using Magic Eden or SolSea? What if I'm using some of these other platforms that exist? Like, we have Exable or FTX or, Palm. And I think the interesting thing is, I think all of those different, like, the nuances amongst the platforms, the technology, and the day-to-day tasks are going to continue to evolve and work themselves out. But here's the thing. As they evolve, if your mindset is correct, if you understand the nuances, the strategy, the approach, the different ways and trends that are going on in this space, it doesn't matter what happens to these different platforms. You will be prepared to learn the new way that you're going to have to put something up for sale, or the new way that an interface is, and then you'll be able to lean into it. The problem, I believe, and this is, I've tuned into a couple of NFT podcasts recently, and I believe there's no competition in this game. I think the more people that are educating about NFTs, about cryptocurrency, about Web3 as a whole, the better. I'm not competing against any other NFT, podcast that is out there. And mostly I'm listening because I want to learn as well. But I will say it's very easy to focus on the news and the trends and the things that are like eye-catching. It's also very easy just to give, advice on kind of like the singular nuanced, day-to-day activity. But here's the thing with that is that, are we setting people up to succeed in the long term, or are we just giving them a Band-Aid to get along on this journey in the short term? And I think the latter of the two there is something that really worries me. And so, when we're thinking about the different things that are out there, like what I love is that when someone listens to the podcast and they'll send a tweet or they'll jump in our Discord and they'll say, Brian, I now understand this. So how do you think I should do this in OpenSea, right? Like that to me is the magic, right? Because now you're taking the mindset and the strategy and you're looking at it where you can implement it yourself. Because guess what? If I help everyone look at the mindset and strategy and we all approach it this way, then each of you can take your own individual, definition of success, your own individual, goals that you have mapped out and implement them where it makes sense for you. And so with that being said, one of the things that I want to put out there, one of the things that I think is important right now, especially, is that, there's a lot of, this like need or this like pressure to, am I buying enough NFTs or am I buying the right NFTs? And, our project, we're buying a mint phase NFT every single day, right? That's what we're doing. Today's day 85. With that being said, I would actually argue that for a lot of people that are jumping into this space, the better bet for your money is not to mint an up-and-coming NFT, but rather looking at the existing NFTs that are already delivering on utility, that are providing massive value, and figuring a way to get into those. Because one of the other things, and I don't think this has been talked about enough by me on the podcast, and I apologize for that, is that one of the benefits of holding a lot of these NFTs, especially ones that have been around for a long while, is that they actually get you on whitelists and get you great discussions about future NFTs that are happening. So for example, the Fame Ladies Squad, right? We had Board Becky on the podcast a couple days ago. I've mentioned that, I've been a holder of theirs since November. One of the things that's really nice is just by being in their Discord, by holding their NFT, you have the ability to put on whitelist for other projects. You have the ability to find out, about other, giveaways that are going on. And really it gives you like access into like, you're able to like interject yourself into an established conversation that is welcoming, right? You're not walking in as if like you're the new kid in school and school is halfway over, right? And I know it can feel that way in some Discords. And those Discords are Discords that are not built for community longevity, right? If it feels like a good old boys club, or if it feels like you're not one of the cool kids, because you're getting in there late, then that community has a bigger problem as a whole than what most people are going to recognize, right? The communities that are not only welcoming, but they understand that with more new people coming in, it helps the shape the culture and the future of that NFT space. And so that question I get a lot, and I feel like this is the question, right? It's like, Brian, where do I discover which NFTs I should be investing? I think one of the best strategies I can give you is that to become very active in an NFT that you jump into an NFT that is established. And if you're not familiar, you're not sure which ones are established, just go back to these episodes that I've shared here on the podcast and look at the ones that I mentioned a lot, right? The projects that I mentioned over and over again, right? From Playboy Rabbitars to the Fame Lady Squad, to Crypto Chicks, to Chibi Labs, to Crypto Dads, to Diamond Dogs, to I can go on, Women Rise, to some of the other projects that we have the Wild Goat Gang. There's so many different projects that I believe are there right now with that are their goal is to lift each other up, to educate, to amplify, and to help kind of level up your knowledge and your experience. And so like that's the answer. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we prepared to take action on the information that we receive? Let me say that again. Are you prepared to take action on the information that you're receiving? Because here's one of the mistakes that we can easily make. And I've made this mistake many a times, is that we can work hard at getting ourselves at the right spot, the right position to be able to receive information, to be able to take on advice. But we haven't set ourselves up to be able to act on it yet. And so what happens is we get that advice, we're like, yes, that is amazing advice. Now, only if I had just this and this done would I be able to do that. But then by the time we get all of that done, the advice is no longer relevant for what we're trying to do. So for all those that are out there, one of the things I want you to think about is that, it's great to get into a community to learn about how people are making a decision to jump into Bored Apes, or how they are deciding if they want to buy World of Women. But if you're not someone that has a bankroll that has 8 to 10 ETH ready to buy into World of Women, putting yourself in that position where that's the information that you're receiving isn't going to be beneficial for you, and it's really going to be a waste of time for them as well. And so it's really important for you to surround yourself in communities of people that are either like-minded or have, similar approaches. And like, this is to me where we can often go wrong, where we can say, hey, I'm going to follow this project or this person because they have these two NFTs in their bag. But how do we know that how they did that or how they got in there, right? Like one of the other days, someone reached out to me. This guy reached out to me, and he great guy. But he was like, Brian, one of the best things I could share with your audience on your podcast is like, I took 44 ETH and I bought my ape whenever everybody was telling me not to, and the fact that Bored Apes just crossed 100 ETH floor is just proof that I knew what I was doing. And I was like, dude, that's freaking awesome. I was like, but here's the thing. You had 40 ETH at your disposal to make that decision. There are a lot of us that like 40 ETH isn't even on our radar, right? Isn't even something that we're even factoring in. And so it's very easy for people to be like, oh, you aped into a really successful project that was hoping it was go up. Now let's remember, there's plenty of projects that you could have aped in for 40 ETH that the bottom could have fallen out. And you'd be holding 10 ETH at the end, and you'd be looking like, what the heck? I just lost 30 ETH, right? And so these are all important, factors in what we're doing. And then I also think one of the other factors is that, we all have to recognize what our own individual strategy is, and don't let peer pressure, don't let project pressure, and don't let, NFT influence pressure stop you from doing what makes the most sense for you as an individual. I've heard people apologizing on Twitter recently when they're selling an NFT where they're making 8 to 10 ETH and they're saying that this is going to change their family's dynamic, but they're sorry they had to sell the NFT. Like, let's just remember, like, first of all, you shouldn't be sorry because you got in, you made that profit is yours. You also, by selling it, allowed someone else to come into the community. There was also a percentage of that went back to the original creator, which is now helping the creator to do even more things within the community. So in a way, this like shaming that exists in the NFT space around someone selling early or someone listing it for their own good, I think we have to kind of shift. We have to stop that dynamic, and I think for us, we just have to recognize and tune that out, right? If someone is telling us what to do, we have to ask ourselves, like, if this financial relationship wasn't there, would we take their advice? And probably the answer is gonna be like, you don't know enough about them to know if you would take their advice or not. So why are you letting them skew how you're going to hold that NFT, or if you're deciding when it's the best to sell for you? Now, there's a difference between someone that is trying to scam or take advantage of people by pumping the floor and then dumping things out. Like, that's a whole different ballgame. But that's just something that is really essential for us to remember. And I just want to make sure that was kind of hammered home for everybody here, because I think it's something that we all kind of have to embrace. Now, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Creator Economy Expo. It is CEX, and CEX has created, there's a little bit under 70 NFTs left, which there is their Never-Ending Tickets, which allows you to get admission not only to the event on May 2nd in Phoenix, Arizona, but also lifetime VIP access to every Creator Economy Expo moving forward. So you can get yours at mint.cex.events. I hope to see everybody out there in Phoenix, Arizona. Make sure to get your tickets now. Don't wait until April or May when you realize the event is sold out and you can't attend it. So make sure to get your tickets now. And if you want to grab your ticket with code NFT365, it'll get you a $200 discount to that event. I really look forward to being there. A lot of my favorite humans in the world, some of the best speakers that I've had the luxury of calling friends, are going to be on stages as well. So definitely check out the event. Definitely jump into that whole world. Now, the last part of this I wanted to kind of bring home is that one of the other places that I recommend people kind of learning and listening to is the understanding and like kind of the nuances of cryptocurrency as well as the metaverse itself. Now, the metaverse can feel a little bit like out there, and in many cases it is. But at the same time, a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the things that are setting up for success in the metaverse environment are things that are the mindset that the NFT space is kind of enabling or empowering, right? And so, like, I love looking at NFT projects that are airdropping metaverse, either clothing or add-ons or things that you can include in your metaverse character, because we are moving towards an environment and a world where we start to value what we receive and what we have digitally as much as we value what we have and receive in the physical world, right? And as we lean and start to kind of shift that and we start to look at that, it's going to be something that we are going to not only increasingly have to understand, but here's the beauty of this entire space. And this is where I want everyone to kind of think about. The more you understand about cryptocurrency, the more you'll understand why the exchange of value without borders is important, which is what NFTs enable. The more you understand about the metaverse, creating communities and utility and opportunity to connect with people that you might not know, might not have ever heard of, but because you're both in the metaverse, in the same environment or at the same event, you're able to make that happen. That's what NFTs are looking to create and enable. I believe, and this is something that as an early adopter, it's something that I pride myself on, and I'm going to challenge everyone here, is we have to continue to look outside of the NFT space for inspiration on innovation, inspiration on ways to do things differently and better. I, for one, believe the whitelist process today is completely broken. I, for one, believe that you should not be giving out more than 10 to 15% of your total allocation of NFTs to a whitelist. I also don't think a whitelist needs to be, I've gone on that rant before. You can go back and listen to the episode on whitelists. But I also think we're moving towards a space where we have to start questioning even why is 10,000 the right number for NFT collections, right? And why does it have to be all at once? Why don't we do some phases of deployment of our NFTs so that we can build those true fans, create momentum? And then the other part of this is, we have to respect the fact that there are NFTs that are art and art only. And we don't need to make them utility, have to have utility underneath them, right? And we also have to recognize that sometimes it's not the art that is keeping us to coming back. It's not the art that is what we love the most, but the art is also a way for us to facilitate and magnify to the world what this is all, what is all going on, what is all working here. And so with that being said, I'm going to challenge everyone, take an opportunity to listen and learn and consume things outside of this NFT landscape. And then come back into the NFT landscape and try to provide that insight, that view, so that we continue to innovate. It's something that I worry about myself, right? Because a lot of the things that I was adding to projects and communities 6 months ago, people are like, Brian, no one's ever even thought of that for a raffle system for our NFTs. Brian, no one ever thought about that for how we should structure our communities. Well, here's the thing. When you start to isolate your content consumption, and it turns into your creation is really heavily influenced by what you're consuming. And last but not least is, there are a lot of people that are consuming and not creating. We definitely need more creators. We need more creators of NFT projects. We need more creators of great conversations. We need more creators of experiences. And ultimately, in the bigger picture of this, we need people that are doing great things to step into the opportunity of what is possible. And we need to be able to support them and magnify them and amplify them. And so, with this episode and with, hopefully the next, 280 plus episodes that we have of the podcast, we're going to continue to push the limit. We're going to continue to innovate. We're going to bring in guests from different walks of life. I'm going to talk about different use cases, different philosophies, and ultimately, hopefully inspire us to, not only do things differently as a community, as an NFT group, but we can also approach change in ways that we really haven't done in the past. Now, real quick, I want to give a shout out to one of the projects that we minted yesterday. And I will say, we're buying an NFT every single day, and I'm going to try to include more on the NFTs that we're buying each and every day here in the podcast. But I will say over the last couple of weeks, we've minted some really cool projects. And one of the ones we minted yesterday was called Mysterious World. And Mysterious World is kind of like the idea of reinventing, I would say, a metaverse type world, but that allows us to create and really establish new environments that exist in kind of this metaverse world. And so the cool part about this project that I really like, and you can check them out at mysterious.world, and I'm just highlighting it because it's one that we minted. It's really a project that is focusing on our imagination and that idea of reimagining what is possible and connecting it to real world community events, and also connecting it to the idea that each NFT has its ability to create its own environment, its own world. And that's actually a really exciting opportunity that we have in front of us, right? The idea that, what if we see a world very soon where NFT projects are actually created not because they're brand new, but it's because they're taking these three, and everyone that holds these three NFTs should, come together because you all three believe in like this one way of thinking, and let's create something in that environment, right? And I think a lot of projects are doing that like singularly, right? So like, hey, these two Bored Apes are coming together and they're going to launch an NFT project, or these two people that have a CryptoPunk, they're going to launch a project. But imagine if we're able to start bridging across communities and creating new experiences in ways, new collectives, new DAOs, new opportunities that we've never seen before. So definitely want to give a shout out to that project. I thought it was a pretty cool project that we minted yesterday. And I'll try to do that each and every day because I think we're buying an NFT every day. So I'll try to give a shout out each day to the projects that we're minting over either the day before or the current day, or in the realm of where we are at. So until tomorrow, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers. All right. Thank you, YouTube. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Lots of great things happening. Definitely check out this great project that is out there. Let's see if I can get it to load. There it is. So yeah, this is the Mysterious World. I think it's actually a pretty neat little project that they have out there. And one of the things I like is they're using tokenomics. They're bridging in real world events. They also have some really cool art that I think can be possible, and it's a lower entry point, 0.04 NFT mint, which I thought was really cool. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.